United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, will you please note the roll?
Chairman Bray is present. Vice Chairman Barnes is present. Commissioner Kish is present. Commissioner Keys is present. Commissioner Maloney is present. Commissioner Walters is present. Commissioner Steiner is present. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's move on to agenda item number 4. This is the approval of the draft minutes from the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting held on June 27th, 2018. Those are in your packets, Commission members, and I would gladly take a motion on that.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes from last month's meeting.
I second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Barnes, seconded by Commissioner Maloney to approve the minutes from the June 27th, 2018 meeting. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item number 5, this is the public comment period. So at this time, is there any citizens who would like to address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any non-agenda items? Non-agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 6. This is disclosure of ex parte communication. Is there any commissioner member at this time that would like to disclose any ex parte communication they may have had prior to this meeting? There is no old business for this evening, and so we will jump right into new business, and it will go on to agenda item 8.1. I will open the public hearing on the modification, stipulation, approval on the ordinance number 4-884.
Karen, before you begin, Mr. Chairman, if I can interrupt just 1 second, there's some AV issues, so the presentations I don't think are going to show on your screens. That's why you have the big ones facing you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Excuse me, Karen.
Okay.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. The subject property of the STIP mod application is outlined in red. It's 110 acres at the southeast corner of Van Buren and Bullard. And for point of reference, where it says GMC, Goodyear Municipal Complex, it's where we are here tonight. The city, being owners of GMC, have also joined in this application to modify the stipulations of approval. In 2004, there was a rezoning on that same rectangular piece of property. It zoned the property C2 and I1. The I1 had previously been I2. The stipulations, as you would imagine, from 2004 are now a bit outdated. They are from engineering design standards that are from 2004. They also repeated many of the regulations that were already in the zoning ordinance and are still in the zoning ordinance today. So this application is to modify those 2004 stipulations and make them current for the property. And just another piece of information about the property, and this is oriented differently. You can see Van Buren Street is on the right-hand side of the picture and Bullard is on the top of the picture. But it's that same rectangular piece of property. And this final plat was approved at the same time as the rezoning. But again, it had old subdivision regs that didn't expire, approved but unrecorded plats. And this plat never got recorded. It got approved by the city council, but it never got recorded. So technically, it is still in effect. And unfortunately, for the current property owner, this type of small lot industrial development just isn't done today. So the current owner of what we have designated as Property 1, KCI Goodyear North, requested that the stipulations from that rezoning be amended. And we've worked very diligently with the property owner, and we've gone from 34 stipulations down to 16. And those 16 are now current regulations per current engineering standards, and they don't repeat zoning ordinance provisions that are already requirements of development, but they do include necessary requirements for the development of the property, that being roadway dedication, roadway construction, and intersection signalization. And KCI also submitted this minor land division application to replace that small lot plat. As you can see, there are 3 lots now. It would be the commercial up at the intersection. Then there are 2 larger industrial lots to the south of that. Our property is just off to the east, the northeast of those 3 lots, but we didn't participate in this because we are already developed on this property. So the MLD is for just the KCI property. And again, it's commercial at the frontage. The rest is industrial. We're hoping to modify the stipulations with your recommendation. And following approval of that modification of the stipulations, the zoning map really remains the same as the original. The commercial on the frontage, the light industrial for the remainder of the property, that doesn't change. We just now have a current set of stipulations that are appropriate for future development of the property. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and there's an applicant representative here as well.
Thank you, Karen. Are there any questions for Karen at this time? Would the applicant, do they wish to address the committee?
I'm Logan Hopp with Hilgard Wilson, address 2141 West Highland Avenue, and we reside in Phoenix. We're the engineering firm that represents the applicant. I just wanted to put it on record that, yeah, we've been working closely with city staff on getting these stipulations updated and current to enhance the development of this property going forward. And I just really want to reach out and give my thanks and appreciation to the city staff for doing this in such a timely manner, as it is. It's a big deal moving forward on the development of this property. And that's all.
Perfect. Any questions for the applicant at this time? Thank you. Appreciate you coming. With that being said, do we have anyone from the audience that would like to address the commission on this issue? Any speakers cards? None? All right. With that, I will close the public hearing and take a motion from the commission, please.
Mr. Commissioner, I move that we approve case number 182000006.
I second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Keys to approve agenda item 8.1, the ordinance 4-884. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed and say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Agenda item 8.2, I will open the public hearing, ask Alex to come forward. This is the Able Ranch rezone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Good evening. Welcome back. All right, so the Able Ranch rezone subject property is located south and west of the southwest corner of Citrus Road and Camelback Road. To the west, we have the Sedea community. To the south is an area zoned general commercial C2. To the kind of southern eastern portion is the 10303 Business Park PAD, which permits the use of a mix of industrial uses. And then as you can see on I don't have a mouse, so I can't point to it exactly, but on the eastern portion there is I-1 and C2 property as well. To the north is Camelback Road, and then to the north of that is county property. In 2006, the property was zoned planned area development, so that area in yellow, the subject property is the the area that's outlined in red on both sides. And that PAD is called the Talaverde Estates PAD. It includes the portion that is cut out on that red outline. The PAD allows for residential development with a lot size of 110 feet by 140 feet. And to the right is the conceptual plan that was included in the PAD. So this, like I said, this rezone request is for the area in red, so it doesn't include that cutout portion like I mentioned. And also includes a portion of general commercial to the south of the Talaverde Estates. When the applicant first met with the city to discuss the project, they proposed doing a new PAD to implement their plans that were included in the narrative. Since the proposed minimum standards met the city's recently updated residential districts, staff recommended utilizing the straight rezone process and to rezone to the R16 and AU districts. The applicant complied with staff's recommendation and requests the following rezone. Approximately 164 acres, which is the area shaded in red, is proposed to be rezoned to R16. Per their proposed development plan, this would include 438 lots, and approximately 54 acres would be rezoned to the agricultural urban district, which includes 13 lots. The majority of the project, or the subject property, is within the Luke Air Force Base noise contour lines. So per Luke's recommendations, which are also reiterated in the city's general plan standards, there is a density restriction of 2 dwelling units per acre within the boundary. Therefore, there were some additional stipulations put in place to meet these requirements. So on the right of the screen is the city's zoning ordinance standards, and then I outlined the 2 zoning districts that were being proposed. On the left, or in addition to the city's development standards, stipulation has been added to stipulate a maximum number of lots in the entire Able Ranch community to 451 lots. Since the zoning ordinance does not include density requirements, we ensure that the Luke and general plan requirements are being met by capping the number of lots and setting the density of Able Ranch to 2.07 dwelling units per acre. Luke Air Force Base did review the application and stated the application will not negatively impact operations and meets their guidelines. This letter was included in your packets. The other requirement which the applicant agreed to was a stipulation requiring a minimum of 15% of the lots in the R16 area to be at least 75 feet wide, providing for a minimum amount of lot diversity within the neighborhood. This first slide shows the northern portion of the conceptual development plan. And as a reminder, these are conceptual, so the rezoning does not constitute any site plan or platting approvals. Along Camelback, there is an entry into the neighborhood, and the traffic study does anticipate a traffic signal in the future at this entry point. Another entry you can see is on the north half of Citrus onto what's labeled Meadowbrook in this plan, if you can see. And then in the conceptual site plan, you can see the variation of colors. These identify the range of lot sizes proposed in the development, so that includes 55s, 60s, 65s, and 75s, and the lot depths range between 130 and 140 feet. Now this rezone to R16 sets the minimum of 55 feet wide and 100 feet long. So if the developer were to sell the property without subdividing the land as shown on the plan, the next developer could come in and develop to the minimums. However, that stipulation was imposed and would still require that 15% at 75-foot wide minimum. This is the southern portion of the conceptual site plan. So here we can see another driveway into the community off of Citrus. The internal portion cut out of the plans is not owned by the applicant, and at this time will remain zoned under the Talaverde Estates PAD unless otherwise rezoned. Able Ranch does include 2 possible future connection points to this future development. And also, it should be noted that the other property owner has also made an application to the city to rezone to the city's R16 standards, and has included these connections in their conceptual plans as well. On March 28th, staff held a neighborhood meeting to discuss the project with the public. 2 people attended this meeting. One was the property owner of that outside piece, and the other was a resident from the Sadea community. Neither one expressed objection to the request. Staff did receive a phone call this afternoon from a property owner to the northwest of the subject property, expressing concerns regarding density and the R16 designation. To conclude, the applicant has demonstrated the need for rezone and conformance with all applicable codes and standards. Therefore, staff recommends approval subject to the stipulations in the draft ordinance provided to you. This concludes my presentation. The applicant is available for a presentation and questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Does anybody have any questions for Alex at this time? None? The applicant is present, you said?
Correct.
That's Ed. Good to see you again, Ed.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Ed Bull, 702 East Osborne. I'm here representing Able Ranch, but I'm certainly not here alone. I'd like to introduce, if I may, Chris Shaw and Alan Williams, who are here. They're with TriPlus and NBA, which is the owner of the property. Spencer McNabb, who's one of our planners. Zach Hilgard, engineering. Also Joe Spadafino, traffic engineering. Questions of any of us, we'll do our best to answer them. On behalf of the owners of Able Ranch, we appreciate staff's recommendation for approval. I think the staff report was complete and thorough. We appreciate that. We also accept staff's 10 stipulations that are in the draft ordinance. We request your commission's approval in accordance with that. At this point, if we didn't have neighbors here with concern, I'd probably ask if you wanted a presentation, but it's my understanding, I think at least there's some neighbors here with concern. So unless you want me to sit down and come back after neighbors speak, I'll go ahead and make a brief presentation and if possible, reserve a couple of minutes for rebuttal, if that's acceptable.
I would say, is that okay with the commission?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. You know where the property is. We, as you know from staff's report, we're outside of the 65 LDN. We're designated neighborhood on the city's general plan. If we were not proximate to noise contours, neighborhood, as you know, permits up to 5 units per acre. So our requested density is really about 2/5 of what the general plan would normally allow. But because we are proximate to the Luke noise contours, part of this site's within a half a mile of the 65 LDN, part of it's more than a half a mile. In part, it's 2 per acre. In part, it's up to 4 per acre. But as Alex indicated, we're not only in compliance with the city's general plan, we're in compliance with the Luke's GDC, and that's confirmed in Luke's letter, which is a part of your packet. As you know, the pinkish color is the R16. The greenish color is AU. Alex is absolutely correct. When we first came in to discuss this with the city in a pre-app probably a year and a half ago, the idea was to amend the existing PAD. Staff encouraged us to get out of the PAD approach and instead use that city's then newly adopted residential standards. The R16 component follows those standards, and as you know, we're committed to diverse lot sizes, including at least 15% will be 75 feet wide. That is, I believe, stipulation 9 of your staff report. When we talk about the AU component, which is on the eastern edge of the site, of course, is required to follow the city's AU zoning requirements. It provides additional housing diversity. It also provides the opportunity for an additional agricultural element in this area. And it certainly provides a transition and buffer between the I-1 and C2 that's located to the northeast and east, as opposed to the R16 as we transition across this property. The conceptual site plan, as you know, is this combination of R16 with varying lot sizes and depths, and the AU component. The AU component's roughly 3-acre lots. The R16, as you know, is smallest is 55 wide, widest is 75 wide. Importantly, in the area that's within a half a mile of that 65 LDN, this being the 65 LDN and a half a mile is over here, so it's a half a mile between those two. Under the GDC, this is to be 2 units per acre. It is. From here west, it can be up to 4 units per acre, or considerably less than 4. But overall, as you know from your staff report and Luke's letter, it's 2.07, which was perfectly fine with Luke and in accordance with staff's directives. When we take a look at this plan, as Alex indicated, it has pedestrian connections. Throughout, it has the opportunity for vehicular connections, short streets, curvilinear streets, knuckles, cul-de-sacs, a variety of kinds of things like that, which are encouraged typically by the city. When we talk about the conceptual circulation, well, I skipped one here, I think. Maybe I didn't. Conceptual circulation plan, again, shows various pathways, sidewalks, and soft paths circulating around the development. Landscape plan, about 45 acres of this site is open space. That translates into, I believe it's 21% open space within this portion of the development. We have centralized amenities. We have this at the entryway as a dressed-up entryway as your standards call for. We have a large centralized park area with not only recreational and relaxation components, but also the opportunity for community garden kinds of components and so on is occurring. Of varying types of walls, be it solid walls, view fencing, partial view fencing, displaced throughout the development. We can go into wall details and so on if you want. It's anticipated to be a phased development. The neighborhood outreach Alex touched on with the neighborhood meeting in late March. And I will point out that the SEDEA member who attended was very happy to hear that we were proposing residential. He'd heard it was going to be industrial all the way up to Citrus Road. We're not really changing the land use because it's PAD residential, mostly a little bit with C2. He was happy to hear it's still residential and liked the design. In conclusion, for now, again, hoping the opportunity to reserve some time or rebuttal. We're absolutely in compliance with the city's general plan. In fact, our density, our land use is right in that we're designated residential, and we are residential. At an eyelash over 2 units per acre, we're only about 2/5 of what the general plan would allow if there weren't Luke-related issues. We have diverse single-family opportunities here. We have about 45 acres of open space. We are in compliance with the Luke graduated density concept. The meetings with Luke were very good and productive and complementary. And we, as I indicated, are appreciative of staff's recommendation for approval and accept the stipulations that are referenced in staff's report. If you have questions of us now, I'll do my best to answer them, as will anybody else on the team. Otherwise, I'd like to reserve a few minutes if I may.
Thank you, Mr. Bull. Any questions at this time? None? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We do have I have a couple of speakers' cards, and we'll turn to that. Just a reminder as you come to the microphone, your name and address for the record, please. And there is a 3-minute timing there, and I'm sure Katie is going to keep the time. And you can notify them as they get close to that 3 minutes. And with that, I will call Mr. Turner to the podium, please. Unless you want to yield to. Okay, that's just fine by me. Mr. O'Connor?
Hi, how do you do?
Good, how are
Pleased to
you?
meet you. Thank you for taking time to be on a planning commission. I know what it's like. I was on the planning commission in Tolleson for 18 years. And I helped to do a lot of the development work and the developing there. And it turned out to be a real source of pride to see Tolleson with, out of the 10 largest industrial buildings in Arizona, they have 9 of them. And they created, in that period of time when I was on the planning commission, we created almost 30,000 jobs in Tolleson. And that gave a lot of jobs to the west side. Now, I bought 300 acres just to the northwest of this piece of property in dispute now, the Abels property. And at that time, that was about 2000. And when I bought it, I wanted to do 1 1.5 acres. So I was going to do a bunch of half-acre lots. I was going to do a bunch of ones. And I just finished a project over on Dysart, north of where the Bash's Market is, called Litchfield Vista Views. That was 189 acres. And I did that one, and that turned out really nice. I had homes in there, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 square feet. At Russell Ranch, I have homes as large as 15,500 square feet, livable. Those are really nice homes. I built the wastewater treatment plant. I did a water purification plant. I did a lot of stuff there. And because of what I did, other people came in. And I did have problems with builders coming in. The area was master planned 2 to the acre. I wanted to do 2 to the acre. And other builders would come in, like Shea Homes. And so Shea Homes tried to do the Sedalia project, that 640 acres to the south of me that's surrounded by Indian School Road and Camelback Road. And so I met with them because I owned a mile on Camelback Road, and I could put them into a 3/4 vote at that time. And so I went to the first zoning meeting. One of the councilmen for the city called me up and told me that they had agreed to do I think it was 2 to the acre, so that'd be about 1,200 homes. And what happened is, without telling me or notifying anybody else, Shea Homes went and tried to get a special meeting in the end of July in 2003 to do 3,800 homes. So this really surprised me that they wouldn't notify me, because we'd been working together, and I hadn't opposed the project based on their agreement to do 2 to the acre.
30
Well, I went to the
seconds.
meeting. Is my 3 minutes up?
30
30
seconds.
seconds.
30 seconds, okay. Well, I went to the meeting, I opposed 5 lawyers, and I got the city of Goodyear to agree on a 7-2 vote to oppose that project. Later, we got Meritage in there, and Meritage did 1,200. And, I don't like the way the signage was done on notifying people about this. I don't know of anybody that received any letters in my project or in the Sedalia project.
Time.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor.
all right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Mr. Turner.
Good evening, Commission. My name is George Turner. I'm actually speaking on behalf of the Russell Ranch HOA. I'm the Vice President of the HOA at this time. I just became aware of this project, and we usually try to stay in touch with what's going on, but we, for some reason, didn't get any information sent our way. As Dan indicated, the sign placement for the zoning were placed midsection of the development area. Very unusual, because they're usually placed on a corner where people will see them when they come to a stop sign. So we're late to the meeting. I'm sure if others would have known about it in March, others would have shown up to contest this. I'm here to actually oppose the development. And the reason being is that, as Dan stipulated, he being the developer, Russell Ranch, we have beautiful custom homes in the area, R18 property. And as a result of what Dan has done, he was a driving force to keep Meritage under control. This is the project just south of us and to the west of this development. To keep them to R18, we're big drivers on Savannah, creating the larger homes there and larger lot sizes to keep that area, keep the value of the properties up. What we have going here on this project is multi-family or high-density housing, which is, in essence, we believe is going to drive the property values down in that general area. That's my biggest opposition to this. This whole concept, which I saw with this high density and then the agricultural area, It's really kind of a mismatch, and it's very obvious he went with the agricultural to help diffuse down the units per acre property, so he could pull in that high density. Be honest with you, I can't see anybody buying a 3-acre piece of property when they're sitting next to high density housing like that. We had a downturn in 2008. We're recovering from. Our values are starting to come back up. In the development, we're trying to push to R18 at least. I truly believe this high density, if we hit a downsize or another problem that we ran into between 2008 and 2015, those values are going to drop. It's going to run into a housing nightmare, probably Section 8 housing. We've seen that happen in developments like this, which is going to drive the value down. I think it's going to be a detriment to Goodyear, let alone that whole area. So I'm here, like I said, to oppose that development. We are all for developing, but we'd like to see it stay at least R18 and be a little more functional than that. How much time do I have?
30 seconds.
It's getting close. So, again, I appreciate your time, and I understand the position you guys are put into, and again, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. I appreciate you coming out. Is there anyone else from the audience at this time that would like to address the commission? Perfect. I'm not sure that Mr. Bull is needed to come back unless somebody else has questions for him.
Staff, but not Mr. Bulls.
Staff?
Yeah.
I'd like to hear the rebuttal.
You would like to hear the rebuttal? Okay. Ed? As short as possible, Ed.
Thank
Please.
you.
You're never going to get
With
elected on
respect to
city
notice and where signs go, the gentleman said he thought a sign should go at the corner. This property does not include the corner piece. Big postings are legally required to go on the frontages of the property if it's under application. There's certainly, between efforts of outreach that the city sends out notices and cards and posting the property and so on and so forth, appropriate efforts were made to notify anyone interested in the application here. From my perspective, 2.07 units per acre is not high-density housing. It's correct that we provide very low density over on the east edge as a part of that transition and buffer, but within the R16 itself, it's about 2.5 units per acre, which is only half of what the city's general plan would allow, and overall as well within the parameters that the city has adopted on behalf of Luke. This is a appropriate land use. It's an appropriate density. The design hits on all cylinders of the design features that city staff's requests. It today is a busted PAD that's a vacant field. It is not doing anything to provide any housing, any revenues, or any values. This, if approved, will be a good, high-quality development that will be an asset to the area and will help provide quality and diverse housing for families and others who would like to live here. We request your approval.
Thank you, Ed. Any questions for the applicant? Last chance. All right. Actually, some folks had some questions for Alex. Is that correct or no?
No.
Yes, Alex, there's some questions for you, please. And I'll yield it over to Commissioner Barnes.
I have 3 questions.
One
First
at a
one,
time.
Yeah, I'll do it one at a time for you. Can you bring the aerial map back up? Where is the R18 zone that the speakers referenced? And where is that in relation to this project?
The Russell Ranch community is just north of City. I'm going to go point to it.
So it is that area, okay. Does it go, because there's a vacant lot on the very corner, does it include that section as well?
No.
Or just further north of like a block north of Camelback?
Are you talking about this green spot?
No.
Catty quarter from that.
Yeah, is that?
Yep.
So that one is,
That piece is 20 acres of, I think it's C1.
so, oh, okay. So that's C1.
Commissioner Barnes, I don't know the zoning of that property. He's
Okay.
probably correct. That's in the county.
Okay, I was just trying to get a feel
That's
for
a
how
county-
far,
That's part
Oh,
of,
yeah.
that's not part of the city of Goodyear.
okay.
And so how much county is that direction?
Everything north of Camelback Road is in the county, in this section.
Mm. All right, then the second question, the units per acre in the previous zoning versus the units per acre that's being proposed for the residential section. Can you, I think you mentioned that during your speech, but could you tell us again?
The Talaverde Estates PAD, just a second. Sorry, I don't have those numbers right off the top of my notes. What was can we go to the third question and then I get right back to you on the Talaverde?
I was curious what the general plan required in this area
Okay, I can answer that one.
compared to what we're proposing.
Alex, would you like me to answer that while you look for the other answer?
Yes,
So we
please.
can do double. If you don't mind, just to give her a chance to look for those answers. The
Yeah.
general plan designates this area as neighborhoods. And, the city of Goodyear general plan concept is to not have a whole bunch of different types of land uses, but that neighborhoods, complete neighborhoods include a variety of land uses, a variety of housing densities, the corner store that you can walk to, parks, open space, again, complete neighborhoods include variety uses. As a base, 5 dwelling units per acre is, about anywhere can be developed with up to 5 dwelling units per acre. And that's a typical about a 60-foot wide lot, which is seen throughout the city of Goodyear. Now, this specific area does have a development policy because it's within the vicinity of the Luke Air Force Base noise contour. Within a half mile of that, Luke Air Force Base has asked that it be limited to 2 dwelling units per acre. And the purpose of that is so that there's fewer people living near the noise contour. So the neighborhoods allows up to 5, and then, there's a restriction to 2 because of the noise contour.
Thank you, Katie. The answer to the question about current density on Talaverde Estates, it's 0.64 dwelling units per acre.
And based on what
I'm sorry,
reading,
0.64?
0.64.
Alex, I guess we're getting, can we ask Ed to answer that question?
well, I
Please,
think
the
that the
applicant.
easiest, and Ed, you can correct me, but basically you're asking for 56 more homes than what was originally under. I mean, you could talk about density, but
On less acres, like less acreage, right?
on, no, it'd be more acreage, wouldn't it?
About
Think-
40
No,
acres
a little bit
left.
less. a little bit
45
less.
acres is in the outstanding parcel. So when you take that out, you have about 210.
210 versus the 255
Correct.
from the original PAD.
Yes.
Do you have density numbers, Ed, that you can share? Please.
From memory, and please don't hold me to it because I don't have the old PAD with me, but I believe the density of the old PAD was approximately 1.6 units per acre, approximately, whereas we're at just an eyelash over 2.
2.7.
The general plan was different then, and a whole host of other things were different then. and emphasizing again,
I'm just curious how big of a change this is from what was previously approved to what is now approved. So I'm just doing, off the top of my head, and it looks like it's going from around 2 to 2.5. I'm looking at the numbers in the request. 164 acres at 438 lots. That's somewhere around 2.5.
as you, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I don't want to be out of order. Should I can bring up a slide to help answer that question if you would
Please,
like.
please do.
So this exhibit called Graduated Density Concept has different colors on it, and if I may, I'd like to go over to the screen so I can point to it. As I mentioned before, this line along the eastern edge is the 65 LDN line. No residential is allowed to the east or south of that 65 LDN line. From this 65 LDN line to that line is a half a mile. That's where the GDC concept comes in, 2 units per acre within 1/2 mile of the 65 LDN. Then from this line, which is more than a half a mile west, the GDC allows up to 4 units per acre in this darker yellowish color. And underlying all of that is the general plan neighborhood designation, which allows up to 5 units per acre, unless the GDC says you should have less than that because of noise contours. Now, overall, this 65 LDN line over Citrus Road is 2.07 units per acre. If the question was focused perhaps on the R16 acreage only, and I'm not sure if it was, but on the R16 acreage only, if I can get back to that.
Yeah, that's right. I wanted to get an idea of what was the previous approved density versus what is the requested density in the neighborhood area. Not overall including the large lots, but the bulk of it. And it looks like it was about 1.5 and now they're asking for about 2.5.
Roughly.
Thank you, Chair. If I may, Chairman, Commissioner Barnes, I was able to pull the staff report from the original Tala Verde and it was 1.6.
Okay.
That was a lucky guess on mine.
So we got the 1.6.
On the, yeah, Chairman.
Absolutely.
So looking at this exhibit, this pinkish purplish color, which is R16, and the AU together, as we've talked about, is 2.07. On the R16 acreage only, it's 2.5 and change on the R16 only. Again, just like this was a overall PAD, this is one zoning case with 2 zoning classifications in it in one integrated, coordinated master plan, which was worked on hand in glove with staff. We'd have been here with one PAD at 2.07. Instead, we're here with one zoning case with 2 zoning designations within it at 2.07.
I think my question is answered.
Okay.
I didn't mean to turn it into a math problem.
Is the difference in acreage, where did that acreage go to? Do you know? Is it the corner?
Alex had a better one than I'm going to pull up quickly, but the old PAD never included this corner. And the zoning case doesn't include it. The old PAD stopped at roughly my hand, across here. Okay, this was zone C2. So the old PAD included this area, including this out parcel. Stop at my hand and then north from there.
And that out parcel is a different owner?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
financial related things happened in the last 10 years or so. So that out parcel's a different owner.
Okay. Thank you. Further questions? Yes, Commissioner Walters.
Alex or staff or Mr. Bull, do you know what the density of Sadea is?
If you'll give us a couple moments, we're checking on that.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Anybody else questions?
While we're waiting.
While we wait? Sadea is 2 to the acre, you
That's
believe?
my recollection as well.
You know what, Mr. O'Connor, I will allow that if the commission is okay with that. Are you okay with that? It's outside typical rules, but I'll allow you another 3 minutes, please.
I appreciate your time. And believe me, I'm not getting paid $450 an hour to come here and, defend my situation
Okay,
for my
let's
neighborhood.
stick to the facts, because we're not gonna stick to facts.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what it is I see a lot of housing coming in, crossing the Agua Fria River. And I was one of the first builders, if not the first builder, to start building across the Agua Fria River north of Litchfield Park. That's what I did, Litchfield Vista Views. And I had been building homes in Litchfield on a one-to-one basis, and they built homes for a lot of pilots, and they usually had a 3-year layover. Well, on this project right here, I wanted to do 2 to the acre, and in talking to Alex today, with his R16 zoning, he can come back later, whoever buys it can come back later and get 5 or 6, 7 to the acre. Am I right? No, well, you told me that today. What did you say?
You need to address your comments to the commission, please.
Okay, well, in talking to her today, if they come back and get R16, they can put in a lot more homes than 2 to the acre. And what I've tried to do, and I've tried to keep good housing over on this side of town so that Goodyear and in this area right around here can have a place for people that own businesses. I would say 75% of my buyers are self-employed. And those are the type of people that come in and create jobs. They own, factories, or they own businesses that create jobs. And the R16 is not going to create jobs. It's not going to give you the type of leadership you need for the community. And this is what I explained to the council when I had a chance to talk to Mayor Kavanaugh and the council. And I might be sticking my finger in the dam, but I'm trying to stop Maryville from coming in here. And that's exactly what that's going to be in 5 or 6 years, or come the next recession. That's going to be an extension of Maryville. That's it. And you see that now along El Mirage Road. You got Hancock is over there building 800 and 900 square foot homes that he's just going to rent. And that's right next to my Litchfield Vista Views project. When Continental went in and did these small homes in there, they did something like your Wild Rose project, where you had some cheaper stuff and then some middle stuff and then some higher price stuff. Well, the cheaper stuff ended up selling during this last recession to investors who rented those homes out on Section 8. And Section 8 brought me all kinds of trouble with, cars being stolen, graffiti on my fences and things like that. And what I want is, since I've spent 20 years over on this side of town building, I'd like something really nice that's going to stay nice and that we can all be proud of. And that's my intent. I'm not trying to screw this guy over or the Abels. I know Mr. Abel, Carl Abel. I've known him since 1975 when he helped me with Tolson Farms. And I want nice projects on this side of the Agua Fria River. I don't want, rental housing that's being sold later for, I don't know, whatever. But anyways, I appreciate the extra 3 minutes you gave me. But I'm not kidding you. I think maybe I heard wrong because I've got bad hearing.
We will address it.
But thank you.
Question. Alex, would you please address that question referring to the R16, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The discussion we had earlier, I had mentioned that the stipulation was put in place that caps the number of lots, which restricts it to that 2.07 density.
No matter the sale of the property.
Correct.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff?
Just the Sadea density. I don't know.
Oh, did you find the Sadea density?
Thank you. It was planned at 1.98.
1.98. You know what? I appreciate it and I apologize, but I'm not going to let this go any further at this time. You'll have another chance with council if that's where you want to go. Any other questions? All right. With that, I will close the public hearing and I'll take a motion on Able Ranch rezone.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number 182000002, Able Ranch rezone.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to approve the Able Ranch rezone. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion carries. Agenda item 8.3. This is the preliminary plat for Palm Gate and Alex will present on this issue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next item is for a preliminary plat. I do apologize, the aerial image is missing a little portion of the subject property, so I actually am gonna use Elmo on this one. Hopefully this is. So the property is located west of Litchfield Road and north of Van Buren. It's now just to the west of the now Goodwill site, formerly the Fry's site. The storage facility currently sits on the property. It's just south of Town Place Suites by Marriott, which is just north of that is also Cancer Treatment Centers of America. The preliminary plat proposes 5 lots in 1 tract. So lot 5 is currently where the storage facility sits. And then the 4 new parcels will be these outlined in blue on the south along Van Buren, which is down here. Tract A is where I made a mistake in my aerial photo, that there's a little extension of this flag up here. Tract A is used for existing drainage basins for the property. In yellow, I've highlighted the cross access that would be granted through this site if the final plat is approved. The engineering department and planning department reviewed the preliminary plat and all accompanying documents. It meets the city zoning and engineering standards and is being recommended for approval subject to the stipulations included in your staff report. This concludes my presentation and I can answer any questions.
Any questions for Alex? Nope. Thank you. I don't have any speaker cards, but anybody from the public wish to address us on this issue? Seeing none, I will take a motion from the commission, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number 18-500-2, the preliminary plat for Palm Gate.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Walters, seconded by Commissioner Keys to approve the preliminary plat for Palm Gate. Is there any discussion? No. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. On to agenda item 8.4. This is the Cantamia Phase 3, Parcel 3, preliminary plat. And Steve, you're up.
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, good evening. Have a preliminary plat here for Cantamia. This is a rendition of the overall master plan. That zoning was approved in 2005 for an active adult community. And this is the general development master plan that they were going to follow. Apologize if I had the pointer, I would show you where parcel 31 was located. But as you can see, this is kind of the development plan. They kind of are developing from the east going west. That kind of...
It's in your packet too, that points out parcel 31 if you're looking for that.
I guess I can go there, but... And so this slide shows where parcel 31 is. And as you can see, they're developing, kind of wrapping around with that Canamita Parkway. And you can see parcel 31 is just kind of the next evolution of that master plan. We had a pre-plat approved for a large area of Cantamia. It was about 326 acres, over 1,000 homes. And that did include a portion of parcel 1 that you see there, and a lot of the area south of it and wrapping around up into the later phases, but it did include parcel 31. Now that they're getting into a finer level of detail now and looking at specific parcels, there were grading and topographical issues that they were finding, and they're like, okay, we need to readjust our plan for parcel 31. So they came back in and had to start over with the subdivision process. So that's why they're coming in with this preliminary plat. And this is just zooming in again. You can see where they're coming in. It's kind of the end of the road right now where they're starting to develop. And this is that portion of that 2014 plat. And I'm just providing this for reference. As you can see, the design here, it was for 39 lots, a couple cul-de-sacs. And this is the new plan where you can see they lost 7 lots. They're down to 32 lots. Still the same acreage, almost 12 acres. Same lot size. We're about 60 feet wide by 125 feet deep. Still private streets. All of Cantamia is private streets. It's a gated community with private streets. And I'll just provide this next slide for comparison purposes. You can see how they changed it up. Put a little more open space next to Canamia Parkway, lost a cul-de-sac, lost some lots. As a result, though, some open space area increased. We're about almost 5 acres now of open space to where they were about 1.5 acres before that. With that, we find the new preliminary plat, it is consistent with our subdivision regulations. It is still consistent with the Canamia PAD. We are recommending approval subject to 7 stipulations that were in the staff report. And just for the commission's information, there is a possibility that stipulation number 4 regarding the FEMA action that they had to complete prior to recordation of this plat. The applicant and the engineering department are re-looking at the phasing of Canamia, later phases, and what infrastructure is tied to those phases. So there is a chance that this stipulation can either be modified or even go away. So those discussions are ongoing, but I just want to make the commission aware of that. If you did see this go to council without that stipulation, that is why. Engineering and the applicant are looking at the phasing for overall Cantamia. With that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation. Available for any questions that you have.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions for staff at this time? Great. I don't have any speakers cards. Any comments from the public on this issue? All right. Seeing none, I will take a motion, please.
Motion to approve case number 18-500-00006, the Cantamia Phase 3 Parcel 31 Preliminary Plan.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Keys, seconded by Commissioner Steiners to approve the Canamia Phase 3 Parcel 3 Preliminary Plat. Is there any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Up next, 8.5, this is the Pebble Creek Phase 2, Unit 49 Preliminary Plat, and Steve will be presenting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We now move to Pebble Creek, and we do have, again, this is a preliminary plat application. Here, at least, I did an arrow to show you where Unit 49 is in relation to the overall Pebble Creek Master Plan. Where that western edge is, that's the Loop 303 boundary, kind of that horizontal line running just kind of south of the arrow, that's the Thomas Road alignment. So just for basis of bearing, that's where we are with Unit 49 here. And zooming in again, we can see the Loop 303 where next to it is parcel or Unit 49. It's about 42 acres. Proposed on this is 212 residential lots. And this is generally the lot layout. Predominantly, most of these lots are villa lots, which is intended for their duplex product where they're two attached single-family homes. They share a lot line. You have several lots in kind of the northeast corner that are their typical single-family detached product. Almost 10 acres of open space with this development, and also along the Loop 303, along that western boundary, they do have that existing sound wall and berm that was constructed. So that is all existing infrastructure at this time. With Unit 49, we do find it consistent with our subdivision regulations and with the Pebble Creek PAD. With that, we are recommending approval of this preliminary plat. Please, my presentation, Mr. Chairman, available for any questions.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions for Steve?
I do. Steve, did you say that these are, Unit 49 are going to be villas, or are they going to be single-family homes?
Mr. Chairman, Kish members, they are all single-family for sale homes. Most of it is going to be the lots, the product where the two single-family homes are attached,
Okay.
like a duplex.
Those are the villas, commonly known as the villas. Yeah, okay.
Any other questions for Steve? Thank you. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, I will take a motion on the Pebble Creek Phase 2.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number 18-500-7, Pebble Creek Phase 2, Unit 49, preliminary plat.
A second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Walters, seconded by Commissioner Kish to approve the Pebble Creek Phase 2, Unit 49 preliminary plat. Is there any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you. This takes us to 8.6, and I will open the public hearing for a use permit request for a convenience use, a drive-through restaurant, and Steve will also be presenting on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We move over now to Canyon Trails. This is the Canyon Trails Town Center, Yuma Road, Cotton Lane, future Loop 303 for our reference points. Super Target's in there, the Pottery Barn, Cost Plus, several drive-through restaurants already existing within this area. The arrow points to the vacant development pad that is proposed for this Filiberto's. Overall in this master plan, again, this is from 2005, so it's changed a little since then, but this is the overall master plan for the Canyon Trails Town Center. And all of this area within the 91 acres that comprise the town center, all designated for commercial uses. And within commercial zones within the city, restaurant with a drive-through component does require a use permit, and that does go through our neighborhood process and then public hearings before the commission and council. This is the pad site in relation to the rest of the town center. Just to the east, we have Super Target. Just kind of to the northwest, we have the two banks that are within the center. We've got the Carl's Jr., the Taco Bell, and the Jack in the Box. Those three use permit drive-through restaurants already approved within the center. With this one, on this 1 acre parcel, we do have a 2,200 square foot restaurant proposed with the drive-through restaurant. And this is the pad that it's going to go in on. And this is the site plan now on the pad site. So they're going to keep all the parking, all the drive aisles, and just the restaurant will go on that development pad. It'll have the 2,200 square foot restaurant along with an outdoor dining component. You can see that the drive-through wraps around. The pickup window is on the east side of the building facing internal into the center. Approximately 34 parking spaces are required for this restaurant based on its square footage and use. They're going to provide 41. There's also shared parking within this center as well as cross-access. So all the uses from the center, all the parking spaces and access are shared. This proposed restaurant will be open 24 hours a day, proposed 7 days a week. With regard to hours of operation, given that this is an entire commercial center intended for such uses like this, you did not see any stipulations regarding hours or days of operation. This is the building design proposed for the restaurant. It incorporates several elements that the applicant wanted for their branding. However, they did incorporate building materials, the building colors of the town center. So they are using several elements of the town center within this building. Most notably, it's the same stone, same paint colors, same metal color for the awnings. Something different that they're proposing, as you can see, is probably those metal towers. It's type of metal that they wanted to use for their restaurant. Because this was a public hearing, staff did provide notice as required by our zoning code, posting of the property, mailings to surrounding property owners. Staff has not received any comments or negative opposition to this request. We do find the use is compatible with the surrounding area and not be a detriment to any people or persons residing or working within this area. As such, we are recommending approval subject to those stipulations in the staff report. With that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Steve. Is there any questions for Steve at this time?
Steve, do you know if Carl's Jr., Taco Bell, and Jack in the Box have drive-thrus?
Yes, sir, all three do.
Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Do you wish to address the commission, or are you okay? Perfect. Any questions for the applicant? Nope. All right, I don't have any speakers cards. Are there any comments from the public? All right. With that, I will close the public hearing and take a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number 18-300-5 use permit request.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Walters, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to approve the drive-through restaurant request. Is there any discussion?
No.
Discussion, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Agenda item number 9, staff communication.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commission, welcome back from your summer break. I hope you enjoyed having the month of July off. The council goes back in session as well on August 20th. Just as we normally do, where we recap the Planning Commission actions that roll to council. On July 9th, the council met in regular session and considered the Christopher Todd Communities at Australia Commons plat. They approved that. Likewise, they also approved the final plat for the KB Home project on Goodyear Planned Regional Center Parcel 12, which is located on Australia Parkway, just immediately south of Pebble Creek Community. The PAD for the villages at Pebble Creek was also approved. The rezoning, and likewise the rezoning actions, and there were several of them for the water campus to be located within El Cedro was also likewise approved. And I just skipped over one. The El Cedro PAD amendment for the property that Beazer had was moving forward on was also likewise approved. And then so we have a great bit of news for you in terms of improving the efficiency not only of the production of the agendas internally, but how you can receive your materials and get it and take it with you and study it, and also have the other materials that you need to faithfully execute your positions, which we appreciate, such as the zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations. We hope to, in September, deploy city-issued iPads for you. So you will be electronically receiving all of the documents, and you'll have uploaded on there as well the things like I mentioned, like the zoning ordinance, the general plan, and those kind of guiding documents to help you in your research and analysis of the agendas. That will save a bunch of trees, and it will save a lot of staff time in producing paper agendas as well. So if you have any questions or concerns, we will have a tutorial with our IT department when we roll this out, hopefully in September. They have been ordered. So when they get here, hopefully at the September agenda meeting, we may have a IT staff here to walk you through it just to make sure you're all comfortable. This is supposed to be, we anticipate an improvement, not a hindrance. So if you have any concerns or anything, just please reach out.
Cool.
And so again, welcome back. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? With that, this meeting's adjourned.